What's going on, Vikings fans? Welcome in the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Patrick Siepman, and coming up on today's show, first off, our NFL teams blessing the Minnesota Vikings as 3 defensive players were just cut from the respective organizations. So does it make sense for the Vikings to sign those guys? We'll go over all 3, and I'll give you guys my thoughts there. And then also, second half of today's show, the scouting combine is here. So we will discuss what you guys need to be looking out for this week. And also, we're going to be at the scouting combine, so we will have video from Kevin O'Connell, Kwesi Adofo-Mensah. When they are talking to the media, we will have video right here on the channel. So make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications. Do not miss a thing around the Minnesota Vikings, because this week is a massive, massive week. A lot of big-time conversations will be held in Indianapolis. So hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications, and do not miss a thing. All right, so the first free agent we're going to talk about here, Sheldon Rankins. A bit of a shocker. The Bengals actually decided to release him, saving $9.6 million on their cap. Now, this guy, he's a veteran defensive tackle. He's bounced around the league multiple times, more famously known for his time down in New Orleans with the Saints. He's a solid, sturdy defensive tackle, but he was dealing with meningitis this past season. That's why he was in and out of the lineups. He only played 7 games this past season. But Sheldon Rankins, 30 years old, veteran in the National Football League, and, he would add some stability to the Vikings defensive line if they did decide to bring him in, kind of on the same, tier of like a guy like Jonathan Bullard, Harrison Phillips, just a pretty solid defensive tackle, but he's not a needle mover by any means. But, probably his best season over the last 4 was 2023 in Houston, had 9 TFLs, 6 sacks, and 15 games played. And here are actually his PFF grades throughout his career. More famously, like I was saying, known for his time with the New Orleans Saints, where his best PFF graded year was back in 2018, posted a 79 overall grade. But he has been in and out of the lineup, dealing with injuries and just illnesses over the last couple years. And listen, I think this would be a solid depth signing for the Minnesota Vikings. Like, this would just be a guy you bring in on maybe a 1-year, $4 or $5 million deal, very similar to Jonathan Bullard. But this would not fix any of the real issues we have at the interior defensive line. Because I do think the Vikings, their D-line as a whole, you have really good depth. You have really solid players. But you don't have a blue chipper by any means. That's why I've been, pounding the desk. Hey, go get a guy like Milton Williams. Now, Sheldon Rankins, is he on the caliber of Milton Williams? Absolutely not. But he would be a solid depth piece where, if they do go big on defensive tackle, or maybe they draft a guy in round 1, it could be a rotation of Harrison Phillips, Sheldon Rankins, and whoever that other guy is. But another veteran that was released early on today, actually, was Panthers recently informed veteran linebacker Shaq Thompson that he will be allowed to become a free agent, and the team does not plan to re-sign him. So this was a bit of a shocker to me as well. Shaq Thompson, a veteran guy, he was actually part of the Panthers' 2015 Super Bowl team. Kind of crazy that he was part of that team, and he's still only 30 years old. But, my take on signing a linebacker for the Vikes, I actually think it's an underrated need for the Minnesota Vikings. Now, I'm not saying they need to go pay big money for a linebacker, because you already have your 2 starters in Ivan Pace, Blake Cashman, but both of those guys have dealt with injuries over the last couple of seasons, and we saw Grugier Hill step in last season, rotational linebacker for the Vikes, and play in some very important spots and very important games. So I would like the Vikings to actually add some depth to this group. And when we were just talking about this offseason, top needs, like we talked about corner, both interiors of each side of the football, at the line spot, but also I think linebackers, sneaky need here. Now, Shaq Thompson, a tackling machine, especially back in his heyday, in his prime. I mean, just take a look at the numbers from the 2022 season, 135 tackles, incredible stuff. Now, he has been in and out of the lineup with injuries over the last 2 seasons, but 100-plus tackles as well in 2021, and he also had 8 TFLs, 9 TFLs in 21, but here's how he shakes out according to PFF throughout his career. Like I said, he was part of that 2015 Carolina Panthers team that made the Super Bowl and lost to the Denver Broncos. But, he still was very, very solid in 2022. And I actually think he would be a perfect just rotational guy for this group. And also a veteran to have, because, Blake Cashman wears the green dot. He's the leader of that defense. But, Ivan Pace Jr., he has been awesome in certain spots for the Vikes. But, I would still like to have some more depth at that linebacker position. Shaq Thompson could bring that, no doubt, where if he just has to step in for a game, start at either Pace's spot or Cashman's spot, I think it could be worth the Vikings' while to just pick him up. But also another key position for the Vikes, safety. Well, the Browns are releasing Juwan Thornhill earlier on today. Thornhill had $7 million left on his deal, so he will be looking for a new home just a few weeks before free agency officially starts here in the NFL. And obviously a big question mark with the Vikes this offseason is, what are they going to do with Cam Bynum? Are they going to pay him that $15-16 million per year figure? I'm going to guess they don't. Now, also with Harrison Smith probably retiring, don't really have an answer on that right now. Thornhill would make some sense. And he was with the Kansas City Chiefs from 2021 to 2022, where he was very, very solid with them. Came to the Cleveland Browns. Don't know if he lived up to, Browns fans' expectations of what they wanted him to be, but still a very solid safety. And I think if you had a rotation of, let's just say, Theo Jackson, Josh Metellus, and Juwan Thornhill, who you would potentially get on a 1-year, $4 or $5 million deal, that's still a very solid rotation. But in coverage this past season, only playing 11 games played, he was targeted 21 times, gave up 12 completions. Now, obviously playing safety, you're not manned up a whole lot there, but did give up 142 yards, 1 TUD, had 3 PBUs, no picks this past season. But I think it all kind of comes down to Cam Bynum, because I am very intrigued with the Vikings, how much interest they have in bringing him back. Because Cam Bynum, great locker room guy. I mean, we all know this. He's a very, very good safety. Now, is he great? I don't necessarily think so, but would you bring him back on a $15-16 million per year salary? I don't think so. That's when a guy like Juwan Thornhill becomes a very interesting option. And, that's why all three of these guys, why I really do think like the Vikings kind of caught a break here, is like you have 3 positions of need. You have 3 guys who are all veterans who all just got cut, who are probably going to sign 1-year prove-it deals. That's where the Vikings could kind of find that sweet spot in free agency, where you're not going to pay big for a Cam Bynum. Okay, we'll go sign Juwan Thornhill, and then we'll actually go pay big for a guy like Milton Williams, for example. So I think Cam Bynum is a big moving piece here for the Vikings there in free agency. But out of the 3 guys we just gave for you, you guys just pick one to sign here. Give me an SR for Sheldon Rankins. Give me an ST for Shaq Thompson, or give me a JT for Juwan Thornhill. You guys let me know who you would sign out of these 3 potential free agent targets for the Minnesota Vikings. Let me know your thoughts down below. Now, coming up next here, what to look at for the scouting combine this week. We'll just go over 5 storylines, give you guys my thoughts here real quickly, as it's a very important week for the Minnesota Vikings, so stay tuned for that. But before we do so, got to tell you guys about today's presenting sponsor, and that is PrizePicks. Now, if you guys download the PrizePicks app today, plug in that promo code CLNS, you guys will get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the PrizePicks app today, plug in promo code CLNS, get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. What is PrizePicks? Well, it's the best place to get real money sports action. With 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks. Now, if you guys want to make a Timberwolves or a Wild game way more interesting down the home stretch of their seasons, PrizePicks is the #1 way to do so. Create a lineup, follow it throughout the entire event. Even if the game's a blowout, PrizePicks keeps those games entertaining. So download the app today, plug in that promo code CLNS, get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the PrizePicks app today. Plug in promo code CLNS, get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. A massive shout out to PrizePicks for sponsoring today's show. PrizePicks, run your game. Got that link for you guys in comments and description of today's show. All right, so some of the top storylines from the Combine. #1, no doubt, is going to be the Sam Darnold buzz. Now, I think this is going to be, obviously huge at the Combine, because Vikings can still put the tag on him, and I'm sure they're going to be talking to other executives over there being like, hey, Raiders, would you have any interest in a tag and trade? Giants, what's your plan at quarterback position? And obviously when Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi Adofo-Mensah are talking to the media, they're going to get questions about Sam Darnold. So we will have key nuggets around the future of Sam Darnold that will come out this week. Will the Vikings tag him? Will they try to tag and trade him? Or will they just walk in free agency? We should have a better picture, hopefully this time next week. But also, I think the Vikings get asked about this. Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, the extension talk. I don't think Kwesi has obviously done enough to get an extension from the Minnesota Vikings. Like, his drafts over the last 3 seasons have been terrible. But his free agent pickups and, how he's been able to manipulate the trade market, I think has given him at least a good enough base where he should get at least this season and probably next to be the GM. But let's just say the Vikings, with only 4 picks this next draft, those 4 picks, let's just say all bust, like it's kind of been over the last 3 years. I don't know if the Vikings will extend him, and I don't think they should extend him or even think about extending him before the 2025 NFL draft. Like, you have to see what his plan is in free agency. Is he able to land, Trey Smith, Drew Dahlman, and then in the draft, are you able to land one of these top interior defensive linemen at pick number 24? those questions will all be answered. So the Vikings, I know you want to keep Kevin O'Connell and Cam both on the same kind of timeline here, but there is no rush whatsoever. He still needs to prove himself way more than Kevin O'Connell needs to prove himself, at least in my opinion. So we'll get to number 3 here. I think running back scouting is going to be huge. One guy I'm very intrigued by, and you guys know this, is Caleb Johnson, running back out of Iowa. I'm just curious to see what his 40-yard dash is going to be, because some people said he could run like a 4.35, and then some people think it's going to be a 4.5. But if that guy does run 4.4s, 4.3s, he will be a first-round pick. I guarantee it. He'll probably be the second running back off the board. I think Caleb Johnson's one of those guys where after this week, they see how he kind of performs during these drills. He will skyrocket up boards, but also watch out for Travion Henderson. The comparisons of him and Jamal Charles, the more I see it like side by side, the more I'm starting to buy into it. So, the Vikings are an interesting spot at the running back position, but I still think there's a better chance that they go defensive line in the first round overall running back, and that's why scouting that position is going to be huge this weekend. Because especially this all connects back to free agency. Like, let's just say Kwesi, he's at the combine this week. He's looking at all these defensive tackles. He's like, man, we could get first or second round talent in the third round. Why would we go pay big money to a Milton Williams? We could just draft one of these guys, who have them on a rookie deal instead of paying Milton Williams, let's say $21 million per year. So I think scouting that position would also maybe open up the Vikings to be more aggressive for offensive line, where if they say, hey, there's so much depth on the D-line in this year's class, let's go throw big money at Dahlman. Let's go throw big money at Trey Smith. So that's going to be key this weekend. And that's also overall free agency talk, because I'm sure Kevin O'Connell, Kwesi, they will be asked not only on guys like Sam Darnold, but also on guys, such as Cam Bynum, Byron Murphy Jr., what's the latest there? What are you even going to do with a guy like Daniel Jones? We will get a whole lot more answers after this week, especially when these guys talk. They're supposed to go at around noon on Tuesday. So we'll have a video for you guys right after that tomorrow. So make sure you guys are subscribed. Turn on those notifications for that one. But hey, if you guys made it to today's show, give me a SKOL down below in the comments section. Appreciate all the real ones that watch this entire thing. But exciting week to be an NFL fan. This is really when the offseason kicks off. So yeah, make sure you guys are subscribed, tune in, and also hit me up on Twitter. We'll be posting a lot of clips of Kevin O'Connell, Kwesi, and just all these guys at the Scouting Combine this week. So hit me up over there. We'll see you guys next time. SKOL Vikes.